In the drowsy outskirts of Tulsa, where the suburbs hum with the rhythm of rocking chairs and wind chimes, life on Willow Creek Lane unfolded slowly, like pages in a well-worn book. For nearly 3 decades, Walter and Clara Evans had called their modest 2-story home their sanctuary. The porch rails were chipped, the paint peeling under the Oklahoma sun, but the house sang of quiet contentment. Neighbors waved over picket fences, kids chased fireflies, and the biggest scandal in years was when Mrs. Larson's tabby got stuck in an oak. Walter, a man of few words and steady habits, spent evenings on the porch, a dog-eared novel in hand, a glass of iced tea sweating on the table. Clara, meanwhile, fussed over her garden roses, zinnias, and lavender, her hands always dusted with soil, her heart tethered to the small miracles of growth. That Sunday evening, the air was thick with the scent of mowed lawns and barbecue smoke. A neighbor's guitar strummed lazily down the block, and the sunset draped the street in gold. Clara, humming softly, adjusted her watering can, stepping carefully between flower beds. She paused to nudge a stray vyne, pride swelling in her chest. Then she saw it, a white minivan creeping down the lane, too slow, too unfamiliar. Its engine growled against the evening's calm, no plates visible, windows tinted black. A prickle of unease stirred in Clara's gut, but she brushed it aside, forcing a smile. Maybe they were lost. Maybe new neighbors. The van stopped abruptly in front of the Evans house, engine idling like a predator's breath. Doors clicked open, and 3 men stepped out, their boots heavy on the asphalt. They wore dark, stiff uniforms, HOA enforcement, stitched clumsily across their chests. Their movements were wrong, too deliberate, too cold for the friendly HOA reps Clara knew. The tallest man hid behind sunglasses despite the fading light. The others fidgeted, restless, their eyes hard. Clara's instincts screamed, but politeness, that stubborn habit, held her in place. She set her watering can down, wiped her hands on her apron, and called out, "Good evening, gentlemen. Can I help you?" Silence. The tallest man adjusted his sunglasses, studying her like prey. The others shifted, saying nothing. The breeze died, a sprinkler clicked off, and the street's soft hum fell away. Clara's smile faltered. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. The leader stepped forward, his shadow swallowing her roses. "You're violating HOA codes," he barked. "Those flowers. Unauthorized landscaping." Clara blinked, stunned. Unauthorized? She'd helped write the HOA rules, attended every meeting. "There's been no change to the codes," she said, voice steady but thin. "I know the president. He'd have told me." The man's jaw clenched. Behind him, a stocky figure with tattoos snaking from his sleeves shifted, impatient. Clara stepped back, her senses sharp now, but it was too late. The tattooed man lunged, grabbing her wrist with a grip that bruised. Her watering can crashed to the flagstones, water pooling like blood. Before she could react, he leaned in, his face twisted with contempt, and spat in her face. The world shrank to that moment, shock, humiliation, her heart pounding as she staggered back, wiping her sleeve across her cheek. Inside, Walter Evans sat in his recliner, the TV murmuring news. The clatter outside, followed by Clara's sharp cry, sliced through his calm like a knife. He rose, joints creaking, old injuries whispering, but there was no hesitation. Not for Clara. He moved to the front door, each step deliberate, his mind clear. By the doorway hung his Winchester .70, a bolt-action rifle as familiar as his own hands. He checked the chamber smooth, ready, and stepped onto the porch. The men didn't notice him at first, too focused on Clara, but when they turned, they froze. Walter held the rifle not as a threat, but as an extension of himself, his hands steady, eyes calm. "Let her go," he said, his voice low, carrying a weight that stilled the air. The men hesitated, then laughed, a harsh, mocking sound. The leader pulled a badge from his jacket, cheap plastic glinting in the dusk. "Put it down, old man," he sneered, while vying the badge. "You pull that trigger, you'll regret it forever." Another stepped closer, emboldened. But Walter didn't flinch. His eyes locked on the man gripping Clara's wrist, his world narrowing to one truth: Clara was his to protect. The tattooed man shifted, his hands slipping behind his back, reaching for something hidden. Walter saw the same motion he'd known decades ago in jungles where hesitation meant death. A knife, a gun, it didn't matter. EVY was MOVYing, and Walter wouldn't wait to see its shape. Inside him, something ancient stirred, not anger, but resolve, cold and unyielding. Clara's glance met his, brief but trusting, her fear tempered by faith in him. That sealed it. Walter shifted his stance, the Winchester stock firm against his shoulder. His cheek pressed to the wood, heartbeat slow. The world faded: wind, dogs, streetlights, until only the click of the bolt remained. The first shot cracked the evening, sharp and final, echoing down Willow Creek. The man holding Clara jerked back, his grip loosening as he crumpled like a broken toy. Clara gasped, stumbling, her hand at her chest. Walter didn't pause. He worked the bolt, the click-clack loud in the silence. The leader, arrogance gone, bolted for the van, boots slipping. Walter exhaled, aimed, and fired. The second shot dropped the man mid-stride, his body twisting before collapsing by the van's bumper. The third man, young and silent, threw himself to the ground, hands up, screaming, "I give up! Don't shoot!" His voice cracked, raw with panic. For a moment, only breathing filled the air. Walter steady, the young man's ragged, Clara's trembling. Smoke curled from the rifle's barrel, ghostly in the dusk. The neighborhood store windows opened, faces peered out, a dog barked. Someone dialed 911. Walter lowered the rifle slightly, finger off the trigger, but his eyes stayed on the surrendered man, ensuring no surprises. Clara clutched the porch railing, pale but standing, her gaze locked on Walter. "It's done," his eyes promised. "You're safe." 40 seconds later, sirens wailed, red and blue lights pulsing against the twilight. Squad cars skidded onto the lane, deputies spilling out, guns drawn. "Drop the weapon!" they shouted, barrels aimed at Walter. He stood still, rifle low, unflinching. Deputy Ryan Carter, sharp-eyed and cautious, spotted the security camera blinking above the Evans door. "Hold fire!" he ordered, lowering his hand. The deputies hesitated, then complied, tension easing. Carter approached, hands spread. "Sir, you okay?" Walter nodded once, glancing at Clara, who stepped forward, taking his hand. Her squeeze was her thanks, her relief. Paramedics rushed to the fallen men as officers secured the scene. The third suspect, cuffed and defeated, offered no fight. In the van, police found handguns, duct tape, zip ties, a stun gun, and fake HOA notices, a toolkit for terror. This wasn't a one-off. These men had preyed on seniors across counties, exploiting trust with fake badges. Reports of similar scams surfaced: isolated elders robbed, their safety stolen. But tonight, they'd chosen the wrong house. Walter and Clara Evans weren't VY Tims, they were a wall. Days later, Willow Creek Lane bloomed with gratitude. Cookies appeared on the Evans porch, notes of thanks slipped under their door. Neighbors brought casseroles, pies, bread. Kids taped crayon signs to the fence. "Mr. Walter, our hero." A community gathering filled the street with laughter and clinking glasses, stronger now, united. The mayor sent a framed commendation for Walter's bravery, which he set on the mantel without fanfare. He hadn't acted for praise, but because Clara's safety demanded it. One evening, Walter sank into his rocking chair, the creak familiar, Clara beside him, knitting in her lap. Her hand brushed his arm, grounding them both. The breeze carried scents of grass and barbecue, the crayon signs fluttering on the fence. Walter rocked slowly, eyes on the twilight. Peace had returned, but it was a fiercer peace, forged in resilience. In court, the Sir VYing impostor pleaded guilty, sentenced to 25 years without parole. Walter and Clara sat silently, their presence speaking louder than words. As the gavel fell, Clara's hand found Walter's, their grip a quiet vow. Outside, sunlight warmed the courthouse steps. Walter paused, the breeze tugging his jacket, voices fading. Justice, he thought, wasn't always a badge. Sometimes it was a .308 and a man's steady hand. He looked at Clara, her face lined but soft, and the weight in his chest lifted. She was safe. That was enough. They walked home, shadows long, unbreakable, ready for whatever came next.